He Played for His Wife and Other Stories is a collection of short stories about poker, and Barny Boatman has an amazing story in this book. Let's sit down and talk with him to learn more.
This book is like one of all great ideas. You can't believe they didn't have the idea before, because the idea of a compilation of poker fiction, short stories, is so perfect because there are so many stories around poker anyway. The two people who edited this book, they approached a lot of writers but also some poker players to try and get them to make up. They said 5,000 words, fiction, do what you want, and they finished up with a compilation. There are so many really award-winning novelists like D.B.C. Pierre. We've got the poker laureate in there, the English poker laureate. We've got Patrick Marber, who's UK's greatest screenwriter, playwright, and somehow or other, by sheer fluke, a couple of us who are poker players managed to sort of squeeze our way into the mix. Jennifer Tilly actually has written one of the best stories in the book. It's so funny and vivid and cinematic, as you might expect, very visual. There's a stand-up comedian called Lucy Porter, who's very well known in the UK, who's written, not surprisingly, probably the funniest story. I love her story. And there's one by a guy called Grub Smith, who's a poker commentator, I think it's probably my favourite story in the book. It's very, very well paced and gripping, but they're all so different. Tony Holden's one. Tony is one of the two editors. He's written one which only he could have written, because he references a lot of the other stuff that he's worked on in his life. For me, it was a challenge to write, because I do write, but it was to write something totally fictional that drew on my knowledge of the poker world, that tried to have a twist, tried to be a little bit funny, I come up with something which I think works. I said to myself, I asked myself a question, which was, what do people who do ethically dodgy things, who cheat, or who cross a line, or when tested, fail the test of honour? What do they say to themselves when they look in the mirror? How do they justify it to themselves? And I came up with a way of asking that question that is unusual. I take a character and I give him a challenge. And so that's just one of, I think, just under 20 stories. I've read nearly all of them now, and they're all very, very different and very gripping and funny, some of them. A lot of them, you can just tell people have played a lot of poker and they've just got a lot of a feel for what it's like. I mean, poker, you can't really fail to tell a good story with poker, as long as you don't tell a poker story, as long as you don't tell a bad beat or whatever. So, I mean, I think anybody in poker is going to love, and they're a great length, just about the right length to pick up and read in a break between tournament levels or whatever. 15, 20 minutes you can go through one of these stories. And, so I hope that it deserves to be successful. I hope it is.